um, again, means to protect sensitive information from unauthorized disclosure. Okay? And the legal framework for confidentiality is anchored on the HIPAA privacy rule. Okay? Uh, ito. Ito yung HIPAA privacy rule. Ano ba to? It's HIPAA or HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's actually a federal law enacted in 1996. So that's 3 decades ago. O kagagraduate ko lang yan ng nursing. O kuha ko lang ng aking lisensya. So ano ba ibig sabihin ng ano ba ang ginagawa ng HIPAA? It sets national standards for the security, and for the security of electronic protected health information. No? Ito yung Protected Health Information or PHI. And also the privacy of the protected health information. So dalawa, yung electronic protected health information at yung documented in paper na protected health information. It ensures health insurance portability, meaning when people change or lose their jobs, this means that individuals generally wouldn't lose their health insurance coverage just because they change jobs. Okay? It will reduce healthcare fraud and abuse. It also mandates industry-wide standards for healthcare electronic transactions. So in simple terms, yung HIPAA na to safeguards sensitive patient data, giving individuals more control over their health information and sets rules for who can access and use those information. Okay? Now, the key provisions in the HIPAA in protecting the protected health information, una muna is yung permitted uses and disclosures. Treatment, payment, healthcare operations, and with patient authorization. Now, you can use and disclose protected health information for these purposes without additional authorization. Pangalawa, yung minimum necessary standard, yung rule kanina na sinabi natin, na minimum principle rule. Only access the minimum amount of protected health information needed for the intended purpose. So if you're administering medication, you need to know the medication dose, route, and frequency. You don't need to know the patient's entire medical history. Okay? Pangatlo, yung business associate agreements. Contracts with vendors who access protected health information require them to protect data. If your hospital uses a cloud electronic health record provider, yung storage, kailangan may mag-sign sila ng business associate agreement detailing their security and privacy obligations. Okay? Pang-apat, yung patient's rights. Access to records, request corrections, accounting of disclosure. Patients have the right to see their own records, request corrections, and know who has accessed their information. By the way, in the business associate agreements, di ba kapag nag-i-store tayo ng mga data, lalo na when you're conducting research, it's best used to use institutional drive storage. I have to ask permission for storage. So yun. Even when HIPAA doesn't apply in certain circumstances, kailangan si nurse, meron pa rin siyang professional ethical obligation to protect patient information. Okay? Si nurse, kailangan niyang i-observe tong 3 types of confidentiality. Clinical confidentiality, personal confidentiality, at social confidentiality. Sa clinical, protect information gathered in the course of care. So everything you learn about the patient in providing care is essential. Okay? Hindi mo siya pwedeng ipag-usapan, imarites sa elevator, sa any public place. Pangalawa, personal confidentiality. Protect information shared by patients in trust. So, yun. Huwag mo rin siyang imarites sa iba. Kahit pa sabihin mo, friend ko naman yung pinagkwentuhan ko, kahit na. Family ko naman, nanay ko naman yung pinagkwentuhan ko, kahit na. You have to protect the patient information. Pangatlo, yung social confidentiality. Avoid discussing patients again sa isang cafeteria, or lalo na sa social media. Okay? Kailangan natin to practice social confidentiality. Now, what are the common unintentional or common confidentiality breaches? Una dyan yung unintentional disclosure. Like for example, unintentional, di sinasadya, leaving patient records visible, naiwan mo yung computer, nakabukas, di ka na nakalog out. Discussing patients in public area. You're documenting, yun, hindi mo, maybe you're so anxious. You were discussing it with a colleague. Kaso nandun kayo sa elevator. So kahit pa hindi mo intentional, still, it's a confidentiality breach. Pangalawa, deliberate violation. Sharing patient information without authorization. No, you share patient information with a colleague na wala namang kinalaman dun sa care. Simply because curious sila. Gusto nilang makimarites. Yung social media breaches. Nag-post ka ng patient photos. Nag-discuss ka ng case on personal profiles. Oh. Violation ulit yun. Breach ulit yun. Lalo na kayo ngayon, di ba? Yung generation nowadays, di ba, sanay kayo na nag-update, or majority of you, nag-update ng inyong FB, ng TikTok, ng Instagram, ng yung IG ninyo. Meron kayong mga daily, no, photos, minsan, that you share with friends and family. At minsan, highlight na yung pag-duty sa hospital, meeting patients. So minsan nakakalimutan natin, no, yung data privacy. Kailangan every time na nagro-rotate kayo sa different areas, you have to know kung merong institutional policy yung hospital against taking photos of patients, of their vicinities, especially when it will capture yung kanilang company logo. Kailangan alamin nyo yun kasi baka mamaya akala nyo wala namang kayong ginagawang mali, pero actually, breach na pala siya of data confidentiality. Malinaw? Malinaw ba yun? Tandaan nyo yun ha. Kasi this is about ethics on the use of technology in healthcare delivery system. So dapat lahat kayo be mindful na in taking photos, no? Especially of the patient and the hospital. Okay? Next ay yung unauthorized access. Sharing passwords, failing to log out, using others' account. No, sharing passwords gives others access to all patient records that you can access. It's actually a major breach. Okay? Now, we've been talking about threats to integrity, threats to confidentiality. There are actually two types of threats. We have indirect threats and direct threats to data security. We need to understand these threats, no? So that we can help recognize suspicious activities and respond appropriately. Kasi yun yung sinabi natin kanina, di ba? Na this is one of your responsibility as kumbaga ethical guardians. First line of defense kayo. Kailangan alam natin paano mag-recognize ng suspicious activities. And we need to know how to respond appropriately. Dapat naiintindihan natin yung mga different threats. So, ang una dyan is yung indirect threats. Example ay yung mga silent attackers. Sino ba yung mga silent attackers? Sila yung mga sila yung mga hackers. They are indirect threats that compromise healthcare system without directly targeting. Often using yung malware or exploiting vulnerabilities. Example dito yung mga viruses, Trojan horses, yung worms, spyware, ransomware. So, like for example, sa Trojan horses, these are malicious codes hidden in legitimate-looking software or email attachment. Maybe a fake email from a software vendor will say, your electronic health record needs an update. Tapos merong attachment para mag-update. Yung pala, malicious pala siya. Merong malicious code doon. So, anong pwedeng gawin ng malicious code na yon, yung mga Trojan horses na yon? They can record every keystroke to steal passwords. They can also capture login information. And they can actually open backdoors, giving attackers full system access. And these attackers gain access to the entire hospital networks, imagine, through a single compromised computer. Okay? Kaya the detection challenge is, it often spreads through trusted sources, evading email filters. And yung email, it will look like it's from a legitimate vendor. So, kaya si nurse, pwede niya talagang i-open yon. Okay? So, yun. Yung mga viruses, ang ginagawa naman ito, they are self-replicating programs that attach to legitimate files. They attach to documents or files and spread when those files are shared. Yung worms naman, they are self-replicating programs that is spread across networks without human action. They actually don't need human intervention to spread. They just propagate automatically. So they are crawling their way across networks. Yung mga spyware naman, they secretly monitor user activities and transmits data to attackers. Imagine. So it can track what you do on the computer and send that information to attackers. And yung ransomware, ito naman, they encrypt files. Tapos, para ma-decrypt yung file, they will demand payment. At yun actually ang nangyari noong 2017 and another one in 2022. Meron ulit ransomware attack, which attacked the targeted US healthcare systems. Okay? Yun. So, anong nangyari doon noong 2022? Yung attacker na nakapasok siya through a phishing email. Imagine. So, ransomware spread across the hospital networks in hours. Ganun kabilis. And all patients' files were encrypted. Kaya yung mga electronic health records were rendered inaccessible. At para ma-access ulit nila, imagine yung attacker, they demanded multi-million-dollar ransom. So what happened? Hospital canceled elective procedures for weeks, hindi lang days, hindi lang hours. They canceled these procedures while recovering systems. Okay? So anong pwedeng gawin ni nurse? You have only, anong pwedeng gawin? You only have to install software from trusted vendors. Tapos we have to scan all downloads. We also need to update antivirus. And we have to be suspicious of unexpected software updates. Okay? Yan. Now, let's talk about direct threats. Direct threats are actually actors actively targeting healthcare system for specific purposes. Ito yung mga hackers. Sorry kanina. No? Ito yung mga hackers. Ang ginagawa nila, yung mga methods nila, through SQL injection, which attack database vulnerabilities. So let's just discuss, kumbaga, konti, paano yung methods nila. Para at least alam natin. Pero hindi ko alam kung paano gawin to, no? Malay ko dito. Pero yun na nga, through SQL injection, the hacker attacks database vulnerabilities. Pangalawa, through cross-site scripting, where malicious code are injected into web applications. Meron naman yung brute force attacks. Anong ginagawa dito? Yung nagtatry thousands of password combinations para maka-access at maka-take over dun sa account, sa system. Then pang-apat yung zero-day exploits, which attack unknown vulnerabilities. So anong objective ng mga hackers? To steal patient data for fraud, hold system for ransom, and also disrupt operations. See? Talagang damaging talaga sila, yung mga hackers. At bakit the healthcare ang target? Because the electronic health records contain valuable protected health information. Kaya ransom from payments from hospitals are often large. Okay? So paano nila itong ginagawa? Una, yung phishing, the deceptive attack. Through fraudulent emails or websites masquerading as legitimate organization. Kaya for example, yung adamson.edu.ph. Kaya tapos biglang nagkaroon ng adamson1.edu.ph. Ibig sabihin may unusual na dun. Wala namang one yung ating Diba? So yun. O kaya you suddenly receive an email that says your password will expire in 24 hours. So email, IT support, mga ganon. And others, no? So yung mga unusual. Meron din yung mga advanced techniques, yung spear phishing, which target specific individuals with personalized messages. Meron din yung business email compromise that impersonates executives or colleagues. Yan. For example, biglang may email yung IT mula sa IT natin sa Adamson. O kaya bawa sa isang hospital, bigla ka naka-receive ng email galing sa hospital IT department requesting the nurse to verify their password due to a system upgrade. Unusual yon. So si nurse, click niya yung link leading to the fake website that collected information. And attackers then used stolen credentials to access the patient data. Imagine. Okay? Pero the most damaging threat is yung ransomware nga. Imagine para i-hold nila yung system, i-encrypt nila yung data, para ma-decrypt yun at ma-access ulit, kailangan nilang manghingi ng pera. Okay? So yun. So anong pwedeng gawin ni nurse para to prevent these direct threats in her simple, kumbaga, actions? Una, we verify the sender. We check email addresses carefully. Any small variations, kailangan pansinin natin. Okay? Katulad ng isang friend ko, ang kanyang email address, biglang may email address na, halimbawa, De La Cruz at adamson.edu.ph. Biglang yung kanyang De La Cruz may De La Cruz 1. So, I need to verify, sandali, siya ba to? Galing ba to sa kanya? Pangalawa, hover first before clicking. Halimbawa, may link. To verify the actual URL, before clicking links, you hover muna doon sa link para makita mo yung URL niya. If it matches where you expect to go. Kasi baka mamaya hindi. Okay? Pangatlo, never share credentials. Legitimate organization never ask for passwords via email. Golden rule yon. Kaya kapag may nanghingi ng password mo, magduda ka na. Pang-apat, never share. Pang-apat, report suspicious emails. No, use report phishing button in email client or forward to IT department. Hindi, wag mo lang basta i-delete. I-forward natin yon sa IT so they can also protect others. Okay? At syempre, stay informed. Kailangan meron tayong awareness, proper training para sa mga latest techniques ng mga hackers, especially if you're dealing with protected health information. I hope this discussion will help. And also, di ba may course kayo sa nursing informatics? Yan. These are important because they are relevant to your current practice, especially in the near future when you become nurses. Kasi ano na yung technology talagang ginagamit na natin. Okay? Now, what are the specific nursing specific technology na ginagamit natin? Siyempre, una-una dyan yung electronic health records documentation. Kailangan alam natin ano ba yung ethical. So, yung electronic health records have transformed nursing documentation from paper charts to digital entries. And this transition brings both benefits and ethical challenges. Example, yung copy-paste ethical problem. It's actually one of the most common documentation ethical violation in modern nursing. Ano ba yung copy-paste documentation ethical problem? It's using previous documentation, no? Without updating it for current care delivery. Charting mo kahapon, kinopy-paste mo, lagay nyo yun. Anyway, same patient. Ganun pa rin naman, wala rin naman nagbago, wala rin nangyari. So ito na rin lang yung aking copy tas paste. Right? So that's the copy-paste ethical problem. Bakit nangyayari yun? Kasi because of workflow pressures. Units are busy, nurses are working with multiple patients beyond the correct nurse-patient ratio. Yung time constraints, documenting everything properly sometimes takes time, tapos marami kang kailangan asikasuhin. At yung pangatlo, pwede ring habit. Lagi naman ang ginagawa natin dito yan. Some would say, no? Some would justify. Naninibago ka ba? Matagal, or kaya bago ka lang kasi. Matagal na namin ginagawa yan dito, wala namang problema. No? So, minsan maririnig natin yan. Kaya mo para mabilis yung trabaho. Pero actually, yun nga, it could be problematic. So, ano yung ethical violation sa copy-paste ethical problem? Unang-una, syempre, there is fraud. Okay? Bawa, billings for services not provided. Copying previous documentation for today. If you document care you didn't provide, and the hospital bills for it, then that is fraud. Pangalawa, patient safety. Inaccurate information leads to inappropriate care. Pag-usapan na natin to sa nursing process kanina. Yung legal liability. False documentation creates legal exposure. If there is an adverse event and your documentation doesn't reflect what actually happened, pwede kang kasuhan. Okay? Clear ba yun? Pangapat, professional integrity. violates, kapag yung copy-paste ethical problem violates nursing code of ethics. Because honesty in documentation is a fundamental professional obligation. Okay? So yun. Now, ano pa ang dapat ginagawa? What is ethical documentation? Anong dapat gawin natin para maging ethical yung ating electronic health record documentation? Una, document in real time. Yung kaninang binanggit natin na document as you go. Mahirap minsan, lalo na pag sobrang busy. But, yun nga, develop it as a habit that we document as you do an intervention. Singit agad, importante yun. Chart as care is provided, not at the end of the shift. Pangalawa, be specific. Document actual interventions, assessment, and observations. O, alam niyo yan sa nursing process. Pangatlo, avoid templates. Create unique documentation for each patient encounter because every patient is unique. Each encounter is unique. So we have to document accordingly. Okay? Next is to document changes. If may changes, pwede nating isama as addendum. Lalo na kung meron tayong correction. Hindi pwedeng i-overwrite na lang natin basta-basta. We should never alter original entry. If you make an error, document an addendum explaining the correction. Huwag lang bastang babaguhin. Okay? And last is chart your own care. If ikaw ang nag-provide, ikaw ang mag-chart. Hindi pwedeng i-chart mo yung ginawa ng friend mo or ng colleague mo and vice versa. Okay? Malinaw ba yon? The next topic is the medication administration technology, another nurse-specific technology that we use and that you need to be very careful with its ethical use. Sa medication administration technology, we are using smart pumps, barcode scanning, automated dispensing. Okay? This technology has actually improved medication safety. But they also introduce new ethical considerations. Okay? Ano yung mga ethical consideration? Smart pumps and barcode systems often include override capabilities that bypass built-in safety features. Okay? And dahil dito, may vulnerability rin, pwede rin ma-abuse, no, ni nurse yung overriding capabilities na to. So, kailan ethical mag-override sa mga medication administration technology? Una, kapag emergency yung situations. Okay? Pag emergency yung situations, kung ano ibig sabihin, kapag yung harm kay patient ay imminent, there is no time to obtain alternative medication or obtain physician order. Tapos nakikita mo, patient is in distress. And medication is needed immediately. And there is no time to call physician. Ganon. So, pwede nyo override, pero it will be documented later and justified. Bakit? No, in-override. Pangalawa, system failure. Bawat technology malfunction, which prevents normal administration. No, like barcode scanner not working, smart pump malfunctioning. So, pwedeng mag-override. Pangatlo, mismong si doktor ay nagbigay ng kanyang specific override authorization. So, yun. Pwedeng ethical ang pag-override. Kailan naman unethical ang pag-override sa mga medication administration technology? Una, kung convenience lang. Kaya ka nag-override. Too busy to get override approved. O kaya hassle na tawagan pa si doc. So, mag-override na lang. So, convenience. That's unethical. Pangalawa, habitual, nakasanayan na. Always overriding for certain high alert medication. And this creates a pattern already, a very unsafe pattern. You routinely override without consulting. You're establishing a pattern of unsafe practice. And the next is, meron pa yung system bypass. Using generic accounts or backdoor methods to avoid oversight. May mga ganun din. You are using a shared account or a test account to avoid individual accountability. And there is what we call the alarm fatigue, yung desensitization danger. Alarm fatigue can occur when healthcare workers are exposed to frequent alarms kapag na-override or nag-ano yung system. Yung, lalo na in medication administration technology. So, dahil sa frequent ang alarms, nadidesensitize yung nurse. Kaya kapag talagang kailangan na, they tend to ignore critical alarms. Okay? And this will affect the patient safety. It will cause delayed response kasi ina-ignore yung critical alarms. Imagine, 90%, according to studies, 90% of these alarms are actually hindi true. 80 to 90% of these excessive alarms are clinically insignificant. Imagine that. Kaya yung mga totoong critical alarms, na-i-ignore minsan. Pangalawa, yung misdeterioration. Patient condition worsens while alarms are ignored. Pangatlo, medication errors. Critical medication alarms that are overlooked will lead to missed doses or overdoses. Okay? And eventually, the patient can die in extreme cases. Fatal outcomes can occur because life-saving alarms ay na-ignore, aren't responded to. Okay? So, alarm fatigue represents a system's design failure that violates the fundamental principle of non-maleficence. When technology is implemented without consideration of human factors and workload, patient safety is compromised. Okay? So yun. So anong pwedeng gawin ni nurse in her simple tasks? Ay una, always verify patient. Scan patient wristband and verbally confirm patient name, date of birth. Never rely on barcode scanning alone. Pangalawa, verify medication. Scan medication barcode and visually confirm medication name, the dose, the route. The barcode confirms it's the right medication. Pero ikaw mismo, you have to visually confirm the details. Pangatlo, document system failure. Sorry, na-move pala. Document system failure. When barcode system malfunctions, document and use alternative methods. If technology fails, ibalik ka dun sa basic na 5 rights of medication administration na pinag-aaralan ninyo sa pharma. Malinaw ba yon? So, babalik ka dun sa 5 rights of medication administration. And, syempre, never bypass safety. Never bypass safety systems. Administering without scanning violates safety protocols and ethical obligations. Because these systems are designed to prevent errors. Bypassing them defeats the purpose. Okay? Yun. Next is social media and professional boundaries. Oh, ito na yung last topic. I think after this, magtatanong na ako, tapos i-dismiss ko na kayo. Because the rest, let's just continue next meeting kasi medyo loaded na rin kayo. Next ay social media professional boundaries and professional boundaries. Social media has created unprecedented ethical challenges for healthcare professionals. They actually blur the lines between personal and professional lives. No? So yun yung problema. There is what we call the new public square, where social media platforms have become the digital public squares where information about healthcare work can be shared instantly with global audiences. And this actually creates the risk, no, that didn't exist in the pre-digital healthcare. In the past, if a nurse wanted to share something about work, they might talk to a colleague in the break room. Now, what they do is they can post to Instagram or Twitter and instantly reach hundreds or thousands of people worldwide. Imagine that. So, ano yung clear red lines dito, yung mga red flag? Una, yung posting photos nga or videos of patients. It is prohibited. It violates the HIPAA privacy rule. It compromises patient dignity and syempre, what will constitute that violation? Any photo or video where patient could be identified, even with faces obscured. Oh, remember ha, even with faces obscured, the real consequence ay magkakaroon ka ng fine per violation. Dito sa Pilipinas, minimum of 100,000 to a million. O, sa Amerika, $50,000 US dollars per plus fine per violation. Tapos meron ka pang claim criminal charges. Tapos meron pang possible license revocation. Imagine that. All because nag-post ka ng photo ng patient at video. Dahil mali mo ba naman, gusto mo lang ipakita dun sa boyfriend mo, o sa girlfriend mo, o sa friend mo, o sa nanay mo. But okay, so yun, it's prohibited at may mga sanctions. Okay? There is an example. A nurse posted photo of herself in a patient room with visible patient ID number on the whiteboard. O, ano ang result? Nagkaroon na siya ng HIPAA violation, nag-fine pa siya ng $100,000, na-terminate pa siya. Okay? Pangalawa, patient identification or patient identifying information. What constitutes protected health information? Kanina napag-usapan na natin. The names, the age, location, diagnosis, treatments, dates of care. Ano yung mga prohibited posts? Example is, nag-post ka, caring for Mr. blah blah, 68 years old who had bypass surgery today. O, imagine, nag-post ka ng ganon na excited ka pa kasi, uy, this is my first OR experience, bypass surgery pa. Yung pala, nag-observe ka. Hindi ka naman actively, hindi ka naman nag-scrub nurse, hindi ka naman nag-circulating nurse. Observer ka pa. Tapos yung pinost mo pa, caring of Mr. blah blah blah, 68 years old who had bypass surgery today. O nandun na yung name, nandun na yung age, nandun pa yung procedure. Pati yung general information where you are working. It could potentially identify patient by location and timing. So violation ulit. Pangatlo, workplace complaints or criticism. Ano ang prohibited dito? Merong public negative comments about employer, colleagues, or workplace. Bakit? Kahit bisit na bisit ka sa boss mo, or bisit na bisit ka dun sa kumpanya nyo, or bisit na bisit ka dun sa sa katrabaho mo. Never post about it. No? Because it can be considered defamation. For example, si nurse nag-post about incompetent management and lazy coworkers on personal Facebook page. Pwede yung sabihin, bakit? Page ko naman, sarili ko naman yon. pwede kong gawin yung gusto kong gawin, actually the result is disciplinary action and damage professional relationships. Lalo na kung pinangalanan mo pa. Pwede ka pang isue for oral defamation. Okay? Pang-apat, friend request to current or past patients. To, di pwede to. Bakit siya prohibited? Because it blurs professional boundary. It creates dual relationship. It exploits power imbalance. For example, si nurse, inaccept niya yung Facebook friend request from current patient. Tapos si patient later felt uncomfortable declining other requests. Anong result? Professional standards violation. May boundary issue reported. Another example, yung mga live streaming or storytelling of patient care. Ano yung prohibited? Yung real-time sharing of patient care activities. Diba? Yung mga magla-live. Oh. Bakit siya unethical? It violates patient privacy and dignity without explicit content. Example, si nurse nag-record ng TikTok video of herself providing care with the patient visible. O anong result doon? Immediate termination yun na. America HIPAA investigation, titignan pa kung talagang nagkaroon ng patient identifier. Pwede pang makapag-fine ng $100,000. Diba? Yun. So anong pwedeng gawin natin? We have to explain acceptable social media practices. Number 1, yung general health education. Yung public health campaigns. Disease prevention and healthy living tips. Pangalawa, yung professional achievements. Ito yung mga acceptable social media practices ng isang healthcare worker. Yung iyong mga recognition, award, certification, sige, go. Kasi wala namang protected health information doon. Yung iyong mga research findings, pwede mong i-publish. Pwede mong i-share yan sa FB mo, sa social media. Publish studies with anonymous or aggregate data following the institutional review board. Pwede yun. Kaya lang dapat anonymous. Anonymous yung samples, yung kung saan galing yung results na yun, kung pertaining to anong lokal, yung research lokal. Pang-apat, yung career-related posts, job opportunities, professional development, networking. Yung pang-5, yung mga patient stories only with explicit written consent and complete anonymization. Kung talagang hindi mo maiwasan, pero kailangan may written consent si patient. Okay? So, explain the social media pre-posting checklist. And before any healthcare-related post, you have to ask yourself, does this contain any patient information, kahit na accidental inclusion? Pangalawa, could this be traced to a specific patient or facility? Okay? Pangatlo, is this relevant to my professional role? Pang-apat, what would I want this posted about myself if I were a patient? Pwede pang dagdagan natin. Does my employer have a social media policy covering this? Have I obtained necessary permission and consent for posting these photos and videos and details? Yun. So, kailangan klaro sa atin, yung boundaries. We need to maintain professional boundaries in all digital interactions. Paano natin yun i-maintain? We have to keep separation. Keep personal and professional social media accounts and completely separate. Okay? Yung privacy settings, review and update privacy settings regularly. Pangatlo, yung mindful friending. We decline patient friend request politely but firmly. Pang-apat, yung professional tone. Maintain appropriate professional communication in all digital interaction. Panglima, we have to respect confidentiality. Okay? So, yun. So, we pause in this topic. Ang mga susunod nating topic is about AI bias and algorithmic fairness, yung telehealth considerations, cultural sensitivity and emergency protocols, emerging technologies, yung future technology ethics, like for example, yung sa application ng robotics, implants, etc. At ano yung mga practice ethics toolkit that we can use. Plus, I also added some case studies, no, that you can also read. Okay? So, ito yung mga topic natin na tatapusin next meeting. Pero bago tayo mag-discuss next meeting, we will have again the presentation from the second group. Okay? Klaro ba sa inyo yung discussion? Bago ko kayo i-dismiss, do you think the discussion will help you in the future to use technology in the healthcare delivery system more ethically? Meron ba kayong bagong meron ba kayong natutunan na bago? Anyone? Siguro I need 1 to 2 responses lang and then I can dismiss you.